Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Musings of Maverick channel. I'm your host, Maverick. Today, we are hopefully going to be starting a new series, which is 86. Yes, such a generic name, easy to write, easy to remember, but I have a feeling that it's probably going to be very hard to find information on, considering the generic name. It's not exactly something that you can just easily Google up, right? You're bound to get a lot of other stuff related to it. But hey, oh well, I'm sure that it means something specifically, or actually I think it does. It was mentioned in the synopsis. But let's talk about that a little bit later. First of all, if you are new to the channel here, welcome. Typically I structure my videos into 3 different parts. I always have an introduction section at the beginning, my blind reaction in the middle, and then finally to follow it up, I will have what I call my musing section, where I go a little bit more in depth in terms of the series, the episode, looking at the various topics that they are talking about, maybe references that they make, and generally doing a more deeper dive into stuff, right? It doesn't get like all super deep. Like, this is definitely, I'm not trying to make a video thesis or anything, but I do tend to explore a little bit more and drive some discussions, right? Which I do highly recommend you guys to check out as well. Of course, there'll be timestamp below. You can just choose whichever part that you want, but I do highly recommend checking out the musing section. So, let's talk a little bit about 86, right? Now, this one was first brought to my attention by my good buddy, Madlad, who is also an anime reactor as well. He said, "Hey, Mavri, you like military stuff, right? This is going to be right up your alley." So, I went in and took a look because, honestly, for this season, I was kind of wanting to cut back on the amount of videos that I do, and okay, it kind of intrigues me, right? The source material is a light novel that's actually quite critically acclaimed as well. It actually won, I think, second place in the Kono light novel Subarashi, that very famous light novel awards, which is actually not fan based. There is a fan based vote for it, but for the most for the heavy weighting of the votes and whatnot, most of it goes towards actual industry insiders and writers and whatnot. So when I say critically acclaimed, I do actually mean that actual industry people and other writers think that this is a good work, right? So it definitely has that going for it, and typically they vote on the works that are a little bit more unknown to the general public in order to try and recommend it to other viewers, or to other readers, that this is actually a very solid work, right? So it has that. The studio doing it is A1 Pictures, which is possibly most known for SAO, right? And then also recently for Kaguya-sama. Now, they do have a little bit of pedigree in terms of their military works, such as Gate. Gate, I have not actually seen the complete anime, but I have watched various clips of it on the internet, right? And specifically the battle scenes and whatnot. And I think they did a pretty damn good job in those parts. So I think the animation for this series is going to be pretty damn solid here. For the rest, for the cast and whatnot, there are a few names that I'm interested in, but since they aren't main characters, that's kind of irrelevant, to be honest. Like I said, Hayami is doing it, Hayami Saori, and a few others that I do keep tabs on, but not exactly enough that I would be wanting to watch this specifically for the cast here. Now, the staff, this is a little bit more interesting, right? I don't know the director, but the sound director is actually Jin-san, Akitekawa Jin, who is, by the way, if you don't know him, definitely look him up. He is an absolute legend, like probably one of the most influential sound directors for this current decade and the past, I guess you could say, since we are in 2021 now. Like, seriously, just look at his resume, alright? He has done so many works. He is definitely one of the most important figures in the modern day anime industry here. So we also know that in terms of the sound design and whatnot, I'm sure there's going to be no problem at all. And in fact, one thing that has already reflected from it is in the guy who he brought out to do the background music, right? Which is Sawano Hiroyuki, who is actually, who can list like Attack on Titan amongst other works to his resume as well, and he's doing the ending, right? So I've heard some of his works, definitely great. So we already have that very solid in terms of the sound department, and even the opening actually is being made by one of my I wouldn't say favorite, but a Japanese band I like very much, Hitorie. So already we got a lot of these good things going for it in terms of the animation side of things, in terms of the sound design side of things. So really, all that's left is whether or not the story is actually any good, right? And so we can just find out together. Let's get into the episode. All right, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. All right, make sure I'm recording. Undertale. All right. Buta. The 86 Battalion or something. Squadron or whatnot. Not bad. Definitely some liberal use of CGI here. Ooh, nice jump there. Eighty-six. It kind of reminds me of No Gun's Life, actually, which is another anime that I've done both seasons actually on my channel, which also had an interesting premise, military weapons and whatnot, dehumanizing them and trying to restore humanity to them. But for that one, the story definitely was a little bit lacking. Oh, 2148. Oh, this is actually set in the future? Really? Okay. In all 85 districts around the country. Why are all their hair white? Are they like a different race of people? Unmanned combat units. Alright. The Wicked Empire. Republic. The 5-colored flagging. I guess they're celebrating. Major. What kind of military institution is this? But still, drinking on the job? In the military setting? Seriously though, isn't this supposed to be a military headquarters? Oh, it's high tech, alright. Hmm.
認証開始。ブラディレーナ・ミリーゼ少佐。東部方面軍第9戦区第3防衛戦隊指揮官成果。
So are they saying that basically all the officers here control drones?
パラレイドアクティベート。同調対象プレアデスプロセッサー。
Power speed out.
ハンドラー1よりプレアデス。今日もよろしくお願いしますね。
Okay, so what they're saying is drones are actually still piloted, right? We just saw. Right, right. So basically, they don't consider them humans. So that's why they're saying that there's no human casualties here.
実はある部隊のハンドラーが退役することになってね、急遽別の隊のハンドラーから代わりのものを選出したというわけだ。
公認決定まで待機させておけないということは重要拠点の防衛部隊なのですか？
ああ、東部戦線第一戦区第一防衛戦隊、通称スピアヘッド戦隊。東部方面軍全体から古参兵を集めた、まあいわゆる精鋭部隊だよ。
そんな新米少佐の私などに務められる隊員とは思えませんが。
最年少にして少佐昇進を果たした再演がそれを言うかね。謙遜も過ぎるといらぬ反感を買うぞ、レーナ。
すみません。
But considering everybody calls her Ojo-sama, yeah, she definitely comes from a prominent family here, right? There's bound to be some people who still think she got to this position through connections. I mean, we can already kind of infer that's probably going to be one of the storylines in the future.
その指揮を任されるのは共和国軍人としてまたとない名誉なのではありませんか？
部隊についてはまあそうなのだがね。スピアヘッド戦隊隊長機、パーソナルネームアンダーテイカー。これにはちょっとした曰くがあってね。
それは
死神と恐れられている。何しろ担当するハンドラーを壊してしまうのだそうだ。
え、プロセッサーがハンドラーをですか？逆ではなく。
ああ、
階段の類ではないのですか？
勤務中に部下を呼びつけてヨタ話をするほど暇ではないよ。アンダーテイカーが所属する部隊のハンドラーは担当部隊変更や退役の申請をする者がほとんどだ。突然自殺した者もいる。信じがたい話だがね、亡霊の声とやらに付きまとわれたのだそうだ。
亡霊。
嫌なら断っても構わんよ、レーナ。そもそも君は熱心すぎる。ハンドラーは最低限部隊を監視して指揮は現場に任せればいい。
やります。スピアヘッド戦隊の管理も指揮管制も前例をもって。
Okay.
必要以上のことはしなくていいんだ。プロセッサーたちと交流しようとするのはもう控えなさい。
部下について知るのは指揮官の務めです。
まったく。おこごとついでにもう一つ。いい加減報告書に戦死者数を記載するのはやめたまえ。公的には前線に人間はいないこと。
Officially. Alright. So actually all these units are actually manned.
こんなことは本来許されることでは。
レーナ。君は本当にバーツラフに似たな。では、ブラディレーナ・ミリーゼ少佐
So I guess...
戦隊付き指揮管制官ハンドラーに任命する。着任までに引き継ぎ
Now, considering that they consider those guys inhuman, right? I do, and then the fact that all these soldiers here, right, those in this republic, are white-haired. I kind of get the feeling that there's probably also some racism going on.
精鋭部隊を任されるなんて名誉だし、やりがいがあるもの。それにハンドラーを壊すなんてどうせ作り話でしょ。志の低い彼らが仕事をしない口実の。自殺した奴がいるってのは本当。スピアヘッド戦隊のハンド
yeah, you also get like some kind of Ender's Game vibe as well, right?
さてハンドラー本人が死んでんだから詳細な調査し
How the commander is basically
主任がそれで
almost like playing a computer game in some ways.
レードデバイスには異常
And
な
yet,
それで
you know, those that are on the actual fighting side, well, there's real people within them.
輸送部のバカども当フライトには豚の席はありませんはあじゃあアンダーテイカーからの話は報告書だけ心当たりはありませんだってハンドラーが死んだこと伝えたらそうですかってだけまあ86だもんね実際パラレードで気が触れるってのもありえない話じゃない
Parade.
脳の一部を活性化して赤の他人と感覚を共有しちゃうわけだからそれに基本は聴覚しか同調してないけど視覚
So it's actually
脳が焼き切れちゃう
synchronized.
活性化しすぎると
Okay.
回復できなくなるし
So not only do they control it using like computer screens and whatnot, they actually sort of almost go into
この研究の第一人者だったのに基礎理論は
like almost possession in a way.
よくわからないところもあるわ実際ねえレイナやっぱり研究部に来ないわえ今の軍なんてただの失業対策じゃない2年後にレギオンがいなくなったら元軍人の肩書きなんて潰し聞かないよありがとうでも今は戦時だものまともじゃないプロセッサー相手よパラレードで何が起こるかわからない86ならすぐ死ぬから別にいいけどあんたは困るでしょそれはでも卑怯なことだはいはいあんた物好きね設定
I wonder how the world came to be.
そうだ
That
レーナシフォンケーキ作ったの食べてかないそうね今日は遠慮するわそれじゃ使った卵本物よ
real eggs and real milk. So what that means is that most of the food here is synthesized.
どう久々の本物は最高よでもこんな味だったかなとも思う合成食料ばかりだと忘れちゃうわね
Hmm.
シュークリームもあるわよそれは入っていないチーズの味がするとか黒い煙を吐きそうとかそういうことはそれ前に私が作ってあげたシュークリームのこと
I like this, right? Even though this seems to be like lighthearted and whatnot, just you know, talking about
プレゼントしてやったら泣いて喜ぶ
irrelevant things and whatnot. It's actually world building.
嬉しいプレゼントだったのね当たり前よいい年のあなたへって書いたキスマーク付きのメッセージカードと一緒に入れてやったわあいつが愛人と同棲してる家のポストにうわどうしましたかプレアデス応答してくださいどうしましたかハンドラー1よりプレアデスやめろよ死んだよ ハンドラー1より
Speed, altitude, temperature.
部隊が撤退を開始しました警戒任務は第4戦隊に引き継ぎます第3戦隊は起動してください了解亡くなったプレアデスたち7人も本当に残念ですいつもお優しいお言葉ありがとうございますハンドラー1報告ですが第3戦隊は再編成され新しいハンドラーが着任することになりました今までありがとうございました私はスピアヘッド戦隊を指揮管制することにそれはいいニュースね早速お悔やみ申し上げますハンドラー1それはどういう死神によろしく
Okay, so today was the last day that she. I probably should have paid attention to the dates a little bit more. I think that was the last story that she did with her last, with her former squad there, her former unit.
パラレイドアクティベート
Undertaker. Oh, this guy? Seriously? 2012. Okay, so going back in time a little bit more. Yeah, see? These guys all have different colored hairs. Huh. Oh, third handler, fifth handler. This is so interesting. Like, how the heck did they get into this situation in the first place? Like, why would they willingly comply with this and all that? Pig. See, this actually feels like a military base. Like at the horse and chicken in the background. Oh, here we go. May 22nd. What? What I don't quite understand here is what's the inherent advantage of having a handler to all this? It's going to die? No. Mercy death? So, like, this is before. This is before Lena actually. Huh? So again, since they already said that their former handler was drove crazy by them, and at this point, I don't think Lena has made contact with them yet. That means they basically did this battle autonomously. Until I 129 days until I end. Oh.
はじめまして、ハンドラー1。こちらはスピアヘッド戦隊戦隊長。パーソナルネームアンダーテイカーです。ハンドラー交代の通達は承っています。本日よりよろしくお願いします。こちらこそよろしくお願いしますね、アンダーテイカー。
Alright, right at an interesting moment here. Yeah. I've been looking forward to this. Yeah, that's hit 38, alright. Okay. Is this actually gonna be like the opening animation every time? Alright. Alright. See you guys after this. Alright guys, that was the first episode of 86, and I do say I am intrigued. I do love how, we get a lot of context about this world and whatnot just by, some of the flair text and sort of like even irrelevant scenes, you might say, from within the episode, right? We can pretty much infer that, okay, this is a republic, all the people here have white hair, so apparently something happened in the future, and these are the actual humans here, right? They mentioned that there's 85 districts, but they call those other guys the 86. So it seems that those might be, for like, probably something happened in the past that's causing them to think that they are not actual humans there. And that sort of discrimination is also made very clear here, right from the get-go and all the way to how they are treated and whatnot. You kind of get reinforced into this, right? So we can obviously see the differences there. We can also see that the Republic is a very artificial kind of nation here. The set in the future, they eat artificial food, synthesized food and whatnot. They fight their wars through proxy wars, right? They don't actually go into the front lines themselves. They instead control these other units who fight for them, and so on and so forth, right? So immediately, you already get a lot of clues in terms of, how this nation operates, its culture, and so on and so forth. You can see that the military is sort of like a laughingstock, in all honesty. honesty, right? Like you would never see that in an actual military base, right? And in the light of day, everybody drinking and partying and whatnot, no discipline at all. Not to mention they are actually at war as well. So, you definitely have that kind of contrast there versus the 86 who are on the battlefields. They definitely look more like a military unit there. And you have this sort of contrast here, right? Now, if I were to venture a guess to say why it turned out this way, perhaps it has something to do with like the Empire versus Republic, right? So potentially, I don't know, I'm just throwing out some guesses here. Maybe that this republic here was formed by the 85 districts. Maybe with their battles against the Empire, they managed to gain another territory there, former people of the Empire, and that is the 86 district or something of that sort, and now they are using them as manpower in order to fight the wars for them, right? Potentially that could be something that happened in the past or whatnot. And our main character here, Lena, or I think her full name is Vladilena, but since everybody calls her Lena, let's just call her Lena. Her father was one of the pioneers of this technology, which apparently allows people to sync up with each other, right? To synchronize their senses. They mentioned that mostly they just synchronize hearing, but potentially you could also synchronize other stuff as well, such as vision or touch or smell and so on and so forth, right? And that's how they control these units and send them to do battle for them, right? Now, then again, even after understanding all this, they're definitely the first thing that comes to mind here, well, beyond like how the entire situation turned out this way, is in what is the actual practicality of using this kind of system to fight wars, right? Like, I totally get if those are actual drones and it's just like one commander like flying these drones and or manipulating, controlling these drones or whatnot and using them to fight, right? So what I'm guessing here is that they probably don't have a good enough control units, right? Like CPUs, right? Maybe they don't have good enough artificial intelligence or whatnot, or intuitive enough control. So there still needs to be a human in there actually piloting this. But to have something like this, it kind of begs the question, like, what's the entire purpose of this anyways, right? Is there anything inherently having this sort of system gives you a benefit? It seems that the handlers here do nothing more than just relay orders, right? And so you can just do that? Why do you have to have this sort of synchronization and whatnot? And indeed, why not, like, why even have this sort of handlers in the first place, right? I mean, even modern military units operate on the premise of your higher-ups give you orders and then you go and do something, right? Like, do they really need to make split-second tactical decisions on the battlefield? But even in that kind of circumstance, right? I highly doubt that those sitting behind there, would have better tactical prowess than those actually on the front lines. So, I don't know, I just feel like this entire thing is quite bizarre, not only in how it came to be, but also in the actual usefulness of this entire setup. So, I do hope that they explore that a little bit more in the upcoming episode. It's got to convince us first why such a system is necessary, right? And then we can go further on and maybe dive deeper into this sort of relationship between the handlers and these, the 86 or processors, as they are called. Well, I think actually the terminology processor probably is already hinting at why they are being piloted this way. As I said, they are essentially a type of human powered CPU, right? In our computers, we have a CPU, our central processing unit, which handles all the actual commands and whatnot. And indeed, in terms of having an AI, you also need that as well, right? It's your computing power. So I guess even though this is 150 years into the future, they probably still don't have enough good enough processing units, that they rely on human processors instead. So that's essentially the gist of the situation here, which I do find quite interesting. It's just that, as I said, I do want to see what are the actual benefits of having a central handler as well, because as far as I can see, with the limited information that is being feed back to them, and the screens that they have, right? Sure, it's like a bird's eye view, but it's not even an actual real view. It's just like, again, some units on some blips on the radar or on the map or something of that sort, right? I still highly doubt that that is all that useful for there to be a handler there. Like, what exactly can they do? So we'll have to see about that. And obviously, we have this entire discrimination situation here, how things came to be. That's all, I'm sure, another thing for the future here. Although I do find it quite ironic that our main character Lena, her father was the one who pioneered this technology. So in a way, she or her heritage could be the root cause for all the grief and sorrow that the 86 are actually getting, right? Although, to be honest, even like I said, even without that kind of technology, if you order them to fight against the others, what can you do about it, right? And actually, that's something that's also kind of important here as well. Why are the 86 so willing to accept the orders from from the Republic here, right? If they are being discriminated against and whatnot, perhaps it's also a part of life where because they can have this sort of synchronization that they are enslaved to the handlers in a way, right? They can't go against their orders and whatnot. That's definitely, so that might be one of the reasons why such a system is in place and why it is actually necessary here, right? So another theory as of right now, but we'll see in the next episode. And then Shin, right, the other main character here, the commander of the Spearhead unit, I'm guessing that he probably is able to do something like, I don't know, like actually project some other feelings or senses, through that feedback loop to the handlers, and that's what drives them crazy and whatnot. Like like perhaps emotions as well, like sorrow, fear, hatred, and whatnot, and that's what drives the handlers crazy. Something of that sort, right? And if that is the case, I'm sure that for Lena, it's probably gonna be like, oh, because she sympathizes with them and whatnot, so she's able to understand them, and that's how she's able to co-work with them. And I do believe that we'll probably see that in the next episode. We can clearly see at the very end here that none of the people there, right, in their squadrons or platoons or whatever they want to call them, are convinced that Lena is going to last all that long. So she's gonna have to prove them wrong. And there we go. That's it for this first episode of 86. Definitely interesting, and yeah, it has some potential here. I just do hope that we get more of the actual, let's cut a little bit down on the drama and focus a little bit more on the cool battle stuff, right? Although I have a feeling that that's probably going to be a major part of this anime as well. The sort of entire discrimination against the 86 and whatnot. So we'll see. We shall see. So thank you guys, and I'll see you guys next week as well. Bye bye.